Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a fun one because we are going to be playing with and duping the Colourpop The Mandalorian palette. I got a PR package from Colourpop and it came with obviously the new Mandalorian palette. It also came with the Star Wars The Child palette that they launched last year. I guess they're relaunching it. I thought I saw it on their website like all year round. I could be wrong, but I thought I did. So the fact that this was relaunched was a little confusing to me. I did receive this in PR last year and there's no sense in me, you know, keeping the same palette twice. So I am going to be doing a giveaway. I will probably be doing it on my Instagram. So go follow me there. The link will be down below. I'll be giving away this palette. I have a video on it, so I'm not going to be, you know, duping this palette today or playing with it because I have a video on it. I will link it in the cards up above. And I'll also probably be giving away this little makeup bag that says cutest in the galaxy. It's adorable and I would keep the makeup bag. It's just it's not big enough for me. I need like a makeup bag because I'm a big makeup overpacker. So yeah, you can follow me on Instagram and I will do a giveaway on these products in the near future. I'm not totally sure when. I am starting the packing and moving process, so you know, things are a little hectic, so I don't want to like put a set date on things because there is a chance I might not get around to it on that date, but it'll be soon for sure. However, this is a new launch from Colourpop to add to the Mandalorian collection, I guess. This is the actual Mandalorian pressed powder palette. So this is what it looks like. It's really pretty. As I've been doing lately, thanks to a suggestion of one of my subscribers, she's also one of my clients. She recommended that I do the whole palette on one eye and then dupe on the other kind of concept. So I did that today. I'll zoom you in a little bit. So these are the two eyes. Everything is rather similar except for the lid shade. So I'll let you go ahead and guess which one is which is the Mandalorian palette and which one is the dupe palette. Okay, hopefully you have your guesses in by now. I will go ahead and tell you. This is the Mandalorian palette and this is my duped palette. They're fairly similar for the most part. Again, it's just that one lid shade because I use the shade all over the lid that I didn't really have a dupe for. So yeah, they are a little bit different for that reason. But other than that, I think everything else is pretty similar. Oh, also the collection comes with two little Lux Lip Oils. I'm wearing this one today. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. I already did at the end of this video and I did not do a good job. So I'm already wearing this shade. It's a little Lux Lip Oil duo. I really like the Lux Lip Oils. I do swatch them at the end of this video if you're interested in seeing them actually on the lips. I mean, you can see this one actually on the lips. I do find it interesting that they launched this collection. It was actually like kind of close to the 1-year anniversary of launching the Child palette, but I do find it interesting for the reason that Baby Yoda was not just, you know, a Star Wars character versus the Mandalorian that kind of is just a Star Wars character. Baby Yoda was a huge meme when they launched this and he's adorable. So I feel like a lot of people kind of bought into that, even if they weren't Star Wars fans. I'm not a Star Wars fan. I haven't seen any of the movies, haven't watched any of the series, like nothing, no knowledge. And even I was tempted by this palette last year because it's so freaking cute and he's so adorable and he was a huge meme at the time. So I thought it was funny. And you know, like I feel like there was a lot more going into selling this palette to people than just being Star Wars fans versus I feel like someone who would be interested in purchasing this, besides them liking the color story, you know, like this would be more targeted towards Star Wars fans versus this that was kind of, you know, targeted to people who like memes, which is everyone on the internet, and Star Wars fans and people who just think Baby Yoda's cute versus something like this. I just thought it was interesting. I thought I would, you know, put my 2 cents on why I think this collection is a little bit not weird, it's just I didn't expect it, I guess. It wasn't the obvious next move in my mind. And yeah, let's get into the dupes. Oh, I guess I will let you know how much these retail for. Probably more. I know that their Disney collabs do retail more than their regular 9-pan palettes just because they have to pay for the intellectual property to be used. So they do retail for $16 when their normal eyeshadow palettes $14. So you're paying $2 more for the intellectual property. Oh, it also comes with a mirror that's adorable. Hold on. It also comes with this little mirror that is so adorable. I was using this earlier, so that's why I, you know, kind of forgot about it. Just think this is so freaking cute. Look at him. Oh, I love it. Adorable. Anyway, I will stop blabbing now and we can get into the dupes of this palette. I guess I'll show you my duping palette really quickly. Okay, so this is what I was able to come up with, and let me just open this palette, which is hard to do with one hand. Please hold. Okay, so these are the two palettes side by side. Oh God. My hand doesn't bend this way. Pretty similar for the most part. Again, we will do swatches, but that center shade is pretty unique, so I had a hard time duping that one. And yeah, without further ado, let's just get into some swatching. So the first shade we have here is called Beige Steel. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing these things right. I don't watch the series and I don't watch Star Wars, so I really have no idea how to pronounce like anything. Colourpop describes this as a metallic silver. To me, this shade almost pulls white though. It's very interesting. The closest dupe that I could find was the shade Novel, and this is from the Ballad 5 pan that they launched last year. It does pull a little more pink. This is the shade Novel, and that's the shade Beige Steel. It does pull a little more pink, but it does like have that icy, almost white quality to it. So that's the best dupe I could find. I actually was surprised at how unique that shade was because it was such a light silver that it was almost white, and every single silver that I had was like a super bright silver that you could obviously tell was silver. So I thought it was interesting that that one was so hard for me to dupe, because just looking at it, I was like, oh, that one will be easy. Next up, we have the shade Navarro Sand, and Colourpop describes this one as a matte mustard. I would say that's a pretty accurate description. To dupe this one, I have the shade Limoncello from the Lil Ray of Sunshine palette. However, it does pull a little bit more orange. Oh no, wait, which one's which? I don't even know. Yeah, okay, I was right. Okay, so this one is pulling a bit more orange. This is the shade Limoncello, and then this shade does pull a little more brown, so it has more of that true mustard tone, and this is the shade Navarro Sand. Overall, they are pretty similar, and I can't really tell a huge difference in my look. Next up, we have the shade Bantha Trax. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. Colourpop describes this one as a matte cool nude. And to dupe this one, I used the shade Old Growth from the Raw Beauty Christie palette. This one does pull a little warmer, a little more orange as opposed to this shade. I also found this shade in my collection. This is from the Blush Crush palette. This is the shade Cheek to Cheek, but this one pulls more pink. So yeah, those are two options that are pretty similar, but not quite spot on. Next up, we have the shade Imperial Credit, and Colourpop describes this one as a metallic nickel. It's a lot deeper than that first silver that's in the palette. And the closest dupe that I could find is the shade Ore from the Of Quartz palette. That is right here. As you can see though, this shade has a little more of a purpley blue undertone versus this one has a more true silver undertone. They are similar, just not exactly the same. Next up, we have this beautiful duochrome that's kind of a MAC blue brown pigment style shade. This is called Clan of Two. Colourpop describes this one as a blackened teal with a green flip and a mauve undertone. It's a really pretty shade. I love the depth that the base has. It's so pretty. And the closest that I could find, which really isn't even a dupe because it's so much lighter, this is the shade Evergreen from the Raw Beauty Christie collab. It's just not the same, but again, this is the closest that I could find. Next up, we have this shade that's called Tatooine Glimmer. Colourpop describes this shade as a metallic antique bronze. I don't know if I would say it's a bronze because it is rather cool tone to be a bronze, but it definitely has like bronzy undertones. My dupe looked way more similar at night with artificial lighting, so this isn't really even a dupe. This is the shade Caving In from the Stone Cold Fox palette. Not even close, really. I swear they looked like dupes when I was creating this palette, but now that I'm seeing it in natural light, it's very clear that they're not. My bad, and I'm too lazy to like go find another one, so that's the best you're gonna get, I guess. Next up, we have the shade Mythosaur, and Colourpop describes this one as a matte, soft dove gray. I feel like that's an interesting description. I would also say that it has like some taupe in there. To dupe this one, I used the shade Bold Type from the Stone Cold Fox palette. It is a little bit lighter, but overall, these two are pretty similar. Next up, we have the shade This Is the Way. Sorry about the lighting. Ugh, that's so annoying. The trees are blowing and it's like changing my lighting. That's gonna drive me crazy. I need to start filming earlier. So Colourpop describes this one as a matte gray. The closest I could find in my collection is the shade Rumor Mill from the Stone Cold Fox palette, but it is significantly more blue toned, as you can see. They're not that similar. And lastly, we have the shade Creed, which Colourpop describes as a chocolate with silver pinpoints. I'm not sure if I can catch those silver pinpoints on camera because of the lighting, but they blend it out like to nothing anyways. You can't even see them on the eyes. And to dupe this one, I used the shade Stiletto from the Bare Necessities palette. It has a little more of those pinpoints. I think they're more golden though. I mean, it's not like different enough for you to be able to tell, especially not in person, but the stiletto glitters also stick more to the lid. You can blend them away, but they are a little bit more noticeable. And those are my dupes for this palette. I had a hard time duping it. I think Colourpop did make this color story rather unique, and that's all I'll say about that. I'm kind of wanting to get into the demo portion of this video just because the lighting is about to get so messy because the sun is going to be directly in my eyeballs very shortly. So yeah, overall I did have a hard time duping this palette. I do think it's a rather unique color story. And with that said, let's just get on to the demo. Okay, my friends, so I'm actually going to start with this eye because I'm going to put the Mandalorian palette on this one to try and trick you guys. I don't know if I'll be able to trick you guys because my dupes aren't very good, but I guess we'll see. So first I'm going to prime my eyes using my e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. Oh, this feels weird doing this eye on camera. It's always this one. And as per usual, I'm just going to tap this out with my Beauty Blender knockoff. And I think I definitely want to go with something not super warm tone. Well, I'm gonna go with something more warm toned than what I've been doing lately. I'm gonna first dip into this shade right here, which is called Navarro Sand. And I'm just going to tap this shade into my crease. Like a really pretty mustard shade. I like that this palette isn't all cool tones because literally every single Colourpop launch I've gotten lately has been pretty cool toned. So I'm happy that I can do something a little bit different with this one. Then I'm just gonna set my brow bone with my Urban Decay The Fix pressed powder, and I'm just going to run over the edge of that mustard shade using this pressed powder. Then I'm going to use a more fluffy brush. This one's actually by NYX. I used to love this brush, and I haven't used it in a while. It's a number 16, and I'm just going to go back into that Navarro Sand shade and just kind of buff it out a little bit. Then I'm gonna actually go into this sequin shade here called Creed. I almost never use the sequin shades in palettes, so I thought I'd give this one a try because I haven't used one in a while. From what I remember, they just turn out to be like a matte shade, but I guess we'll see. Oh yeah, literally none of that glitter is sticking. So none of those sequin particles are really sticking at all, so I'm just gonna treat this as I would a matte eyeshadow. I'm also just gonna bring it into the inner corner slightly because I'm going to use a dark lid shade. Then for my lid, I'm going to go into this really special shade in the center. This is called Clan of Two, and it is a duochrome. I'm going to dampen the brush. For that, I'm using my Urban Decay All Nighter, and I'm just going to apply this to my lid. Such a pretty color. Ugh, I love it. I think this shade is really unique, especially for Colourpop. Like, it's not super unique in the sense that a lot of brands release this type of shade, but I couldn't personally dupe it in my own Colourpop collection, so I think it's more of a special shade for Colourpop to release. That's so pretty. Love it. Okay, and I'm just gonna apply some eyeliner. I don't think I'm gonna wing it out today. I don't know, I'm just not feeling it. Okay, and for upper lid shadow, I think that's all I'm gonna do. I'm obviously gonna clean up the fallout and then apply some concealer, and I'll probably use a highlight shade from the palette, but this is all I'm gonna do for now. And let's move on to the other eye. I already know that this eye is not gonna look the same, so let's just get into it. And just like the other side, I am going to apply some concealer to prime. And for my first dupe, I'm going to apply this shade from the Little Ray of Sunshine palette, and I'm just gonna do the same thing by applying it to the crease, then going into my Urban Decay pressed powder to set the brow bone and also take it down onto the edge of that shade, and then blending this shade out. I think this shade is pulling more orange versus this side that pulled a lot more yellow. Then I'm going to go into this sequin shade from the Bare Necessities palette and just apply that into the outer corner. I think this shade's pulling more warm than the other side, and just very, very lightly dragging it into the crease. The glitter particles in this shade are definitely sticking more than they did on the other side. Then I'm going to go into this shade from the Raw Beauty Christie collab, and I'm going to use this one damp as well. I'm thinking maybe if I put a dark base underneath, I actually might be able to get this shade a lot more similar to the other side. So let's try that. I'm going to take that dark brown shade, and I'm going to apply it all over the lid. Okay, so just like that, I applied the dark shade all over. It's a little bit patchy, but it doesn't matter because I am applying that Raw Beauty Christie shade over top. We'll see if this works. It's a little more green, like a little more yellowy green versus this one's pulling a little more blue, and this one's a lot more reflective. I'm sure this one would also reflect quite a bit if I put a deep base underneath, but the base of that shadow was already pretty deep. I think I just need to accept the fact that I don't have anything quite like this in my Colourpop collection. Yeah, you can really see the difference in the lid shade there. That's okay. So for this, I am also going to go in with eyeliner. Okay, and that is the upper lid for both eyes. I'm just going to clean everything up, do the rest of my face, and then I can come back and we can really, you know, compare the two eye looks and see how similar I actually got them. Okay, my friends, so this is the completed look. I'll let you guys, you know, take a peek and we can really compare. Obviously the lid shades aren't really the same. That's the main thing I noticed. So that tells me that that center shade is really special. I feel like I may have seen a similar shadow like as a Super Shock formula, but yeah, pressed powdered shadows, I didn't really have anything even remotely similar. Also, I just wanted to do a quick demo. This collection comes with a little lip oil set. So the first shade is called Grogu? Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not a Star Wars fan. It's just a clear lip oil. I've been wearing it all morning and it's quite nice. It doesn't change your lip color at all. It's just like a super, you know, basic color. At first I thought this set was like a luxe gloss set and I was a little bit disappointed because I have a shade very similar from the Limoncello collection that I really enjoy in the luxe gloss formula. So I was really happy to see that this was actually a luxe lip oil. And the next shade is more of a cream formula, whereas this one has a lot more sparkle to it. This one is called, oh, I'm not gonna be able to pronounce that. Din Djarin? Oh, I have no idea. I'm so sorry. This one is like a rosy mauve color. That's pretty. It just gives a little bit of color. And I love these. I think they're super hydrating. Oh yeah, I really like this one. That's so pretty. Love that. I'm actually probably gonna throw on some lip liner and then just keep this shade on. Okay, I just threw on some lip liner and now this is the completed look. I love it. I think it's so pretty. So yes, I do think that this palette is rather unique, actually. I like the mix of cool and warm tones. I like that it's not just a cool toned palette and you have this really pretty duochrome flip in the center. I don't know, I think it's an interesting color story as well. I think they did a good job. That being said, I'm not really a Star Wars fan, so I'm like not sure how this relates to Star Wars. Like, I don't know if it's relevant. Like, I don't really know if the color story is relevant to the Mandalorian series. I think it's a show, right? It's a series? I don't know. So I'm not really sure if it's relevant in that way, but I do really think the color story is very beautiful and I think it's interesting to look at. And I can appreciate that because it would have been really easy to just make this like an all cool toned palette and call it a day. So I'm really appreciative that they didn't do that. Do I think that this palette is like a necessity? Honestly, no, I found it easily dupable except for this shade in the center. That being said, if you really do like this shade, there are tons of other brands that do something similar that you could probably buy in a single. So yeah, I don't think that this is like a super unique palette in that sense, but I do think that that center shade is really unique for Colourpop. I'm gonna check that out because honestly, that was the only shade that I couldn't really dupe in this palette. Everything else was pretty dupable and I already had something similar to like all of the other shades. So yeah, if you're into the Mandalorian, I would recommend this palette. Again, I say this often with Colourpop, but you're not going to be disappointed in the quality. It's just more so about the color story to determine if it's something you'd be interested in. The quality, great. The shadows blended beautifully. Everything was just peachy. It's just more so about if this color story is, you know, unique enough to you and your collection to determine if this would be a good purchase for you or not. And also, of course, if it would bring you happiness if you really like the Mandalorian or something. And yeah, I think that is it from me today. I think that's all I have to say about that palette and the review. The Luxe lip oils, you know, they're great. It's a really like slippery thin formula. It's really hydrating on the lips. I personally really like it, but if you don't like glosses that won't stick around long, then you might not like those. But I personally really like them, so I wasn't disappointed. And yeah, I think that's it from me today. Thank you so much for tuning in and thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. Please don't forget to subscribe if you want to. If you don't, that's okay. I just really appreciate you being here. It helps out my channel so very much by you watching, so thank you. Please leave any video requests you may have in the comments down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!